for France. From Carcassonne to Foix, we had 40-degree temperatures just about on this stage. I'm not sure if the caravan was banned or not, but yeah, very, very hot stage. Not as much elevation gain as yesterday, but a longer climb from 182 Ks. Got a hilly zone after 27, 30 Ks of flat. Then light hilly zone, intermediate sprint at Quillon, which is just before the start of the Col du Coudon. The 11K 5.5% climb, plateau on top of there before they do there's the Col of the Cross of Deaths. So I don't know what happened up there. Then there's a descent, quite a fast descent, and then they go up Col de Montségur, which is 7 kilometers, 6.1% category 2 climb descent, and then from there there's 30 Ks or so of rolling heavy road terrain to the finish in Foix, where so it was a 50-point stage, but 25 points available at the intermediate sprint. So important for the green jersey. Mads Pedersen said before the stage, this is one they'd put an X on, not a circle around. They put an X on the stage. How would you, if you were, say, doing preparation for the Tour Benji and you wanted to pick out stages, what would your notation be?
I think I would have like a spreadsheet and color the stages in them.
So you'd have a color code legend.
Exactly. And I would color code them based on 0 fucking chance, decent chance, I'm going to win this. And if I'm being honest, crossing a stage, sociopathic behavior.
Yeah, I would circle a stage. I'm not sure I'd put an X on a stage.
Spreadsheet?
No. Yeah, I do love a spreadsheet. But the question was not, we all knew this is a perfect stage for Mads Pedersen. We all knew that. But the question was, how would they go about it? Would they go from the peloton and control and try to drop the other sprinters on Montségur, the category 2? Or would they go in the breakaway and try and take it from the breakaway? That's the question we had. Join Cycling is supporting this episode. Hear more about Tour de Join in a second. We had those questions answered pretty quickly when we saw from the gun, Quinn Simmons jump behind the neutral car, jumping in to create the breakaway. It's different. So Trek did it in 2 ways. So this is how they made the break. They jumped with Simmons over and over. Simmons kills himself to be in Group 1.
Yes.
Pedersen then follows any second attacks. And then he jumped himself, and that was, they wanted to go on the breakaway. And then you see all the other sprinters, except Merlier, you see Binny, Philipsen, Alpecin, NSN, they're like, oh, wow, we need to be in the breakaway because that intermediate sprint is what they could play for, which is important for the green jersey battle. So we saw a couple of times NSN or Alpecin really closing gaps. But Trek, we discussed in the preview, why is their team, Benji, so well designed for managing this sort of stage with Pedersen?
Well, if you look at the roster, then there's a lot of riders that are really good at versatile stages. And if anything, you look at the parcours of this stage and you say, it's not just Mads Pedersen from their team who can win this stage. Like we mentioned Matthias Watzek on yesterday's stage. Quinn Simmons was fighting Tim Wellens for a stage win last year on a pretty similar parcours, I would reckon. So because of that, you don't just have a Mads Pedersen who's good at this. You've got multiple riders who can get into the breakaway to begin with. Good enough as an engine, but also good enough as a climber on this parcours. And decent enough to actually survive the climbs, potentially, against the better climbers that are expected to be in that breakaway. Like, we'd expect a Grégoire Vauquelin to try and go up the road because they've lost quite a bit of time in GC when it comes to Vauquelin. He probably wants to make something out of this race. And on the other hand, a Grégoire then would have also probably circled, not crossed. I see Grégoire as a bit of a circle man myself, to be honest. The French, do you think the French do it differently? Do they like paste the baguette sticker on it?
I don't know what their notation would be. Perhaps like like how Europeans, your annotation for thousands is different. You use bullet dot point for separating thousands, which is that's crazy work.
I think French people print the stages off and then use fluorescent markers on paper to have like the panache, you know?
I think that's just the analog version of our spreadsheet system. But yeah, break goes, good break, perfect break, all the names you'd expect. It's well, okay. Well, do you want me to go through the whole list? I can do it quickly.
The most important riders.
Bora really wanted to be in, so when the break had initially gone, it was Bora who deadpooled with a few riders to get across. Den's trying to go in. Pedersen, Simmons, Watzek. So Simmons or one of those Trek riders only came across in a second attempt late.
Yeah.
Quinn Steinhauser Volgren for EF. Quinn's second closest on GC at 5:34. Vauquelin for Ineos. De Bruyne for Alpecin, as well as Philipsen makes it with Plancart, so that he's defending that intermediate sprint. Bling for Jayco, but no Schmidt. They needed Plapp or Schmidt today. I think the stage actually needed a Plapp or Schmidt on that final climb. Bini for the green jersey, Frigo for the stage, Movistar with Oliveira, Raul, Garcia Pierna, and Castrillo. Zimmerman for Lotto. Izaguirre, I thought, would climb better for Cofidis. He won. I'm pretty sure he won the stage like in this region in 23.
Vulcania?
Yeah, we mentioned it, but it was after Iswa. No, it was in Beaujolais.
Okay.
He won a very, very similar stage in Beaujolais in 23. He's in the break. He didn't climb very well. Hermans, Roman Gregoire with a teammate. I thought he'd climb a bit better. De Lettre for Total, Frank van den Broek, and Molinar, the polka dot ambition person. He wasn't leading it, Baudin's leading it. 35-man break. UAE, happy to let it go. Trans, the closest on 5:06 on GC for UNOX. Yeah.
I think the first conversation is points jersey, because we've got a hill in the first 60 kilometers, a few ups and downs, I would say, not just one hill. And Mess Pedersen is the better climber versus Jasper Philipsen. I think that's a very important aspect here. Now, there's a few choices that Trek can make. First of all, I think their first choice was perfect. Getting in the breakaway instead of going from the peloton means you can try and get a bigger delta by default on the pure sprinters. Problem is, Jasper Philipsen saw it through your plan and joined the breakaway as well, which means he countered your strategy and is now, if he doesn't drop before the intermediate sprint, the favorite, together with maybe a Bini, to take those points at the intermediate ahead of Pedersen. So you're now technically losing points towards Philipsen there if you're Pedersen. But if you hard pace hypothetically the first 3 hills in the stage, then you're prioritizing the green jersey. You might drop Philipsen.
Yeah.
But in doing so, you're losing out on so much percentage chance to win the stage for a green jersey that you're not the favorite for, because the points on flat stage are 70 points per stage, that I think they did what is right, which is not hard pace that part of the stage and go for the actual stage itself instead of trying to drop Philipsen before the intermediate sprint.
Yeah, I guess you could have fugued early with Pedersen, because I don't think you even dropped Philipsen on a 3K 4% climb, but you could have fugued with Pedersen early because UAE really did give it the green light. And so I was thinking that they would just take whatever they could get in that intermediate sprint, and then you got to make sure they wanted to make sure Pedersen won, and that's, if you want to make sure you're winning, you need to do the Tour de Join. You want to win in the off season, you want to win in autumn, you need to do the Tour de Join. This July, the Tour de France becomes your training plan from the 4th of July to the 26th of July. So we've still got another 19 days. Tour de Join follows the race stage by stage all the way from now in the Pyrenees to Paris. Each week features 4 structured workouts inspired by the demands of the real racing, including these very stages. You've got explosive sprints, threshold TTs, Pyrenean climbs, Alpine Queen stages, the versatile sprint stages. So you're riding workouts that mirror what's happening at the Tour. You can literally do it in front of the Tour de France that you're watching live every day. And every workout comes in multiple duration options. Whether you've got 45 minutes or a couple of hours, you can fit the Tour around your own schedule. And if you complete at least one Tour de Join workout during July, you'll be entered into the draw to win one of 12 special edition Tour de Join t-shirts. Yeah, I'll be doing that. It's so hot here at the moment. We're going to have to be doing it early in the mornings. I think we won't do it during the stages. We're feeling it, maybe not as much as the riders, but yeah, it's a good time to remember. July is it's a good time to prepare, well, at least for my summer. My summer in December. It starts now.
My summer is also in December because I want to be at my best in peak indoor cycling season.
True.
So technically we're on the same boat, I would say. But to continue in the stage then, Patrick, intermediate sprint happens. Biniam actually takes it ahead of Philipsen and Pedersen.
Yep.
So a bit of an upset, I could argue, but Biniam's also a pretty solid sprinter. He takes 25 points there. And from that point on, we've got a long phase in the race between an intermediate sprint onto the middle climb of the stage where we've got, I think, 3 riders off the front for a little bit, but then they get caught again. That's not the actual final Fuga de la Fuga that actually makes it. but we go over the top there and we see a move, and that includes Vatsik, who responds to
Jan Tratnik.
Jan Tratnik. Sorry, I lost his name in my head.
Tratnik just rode off the front. It was on the Calder breadcrumbs and
Call the breadcrumbs.
what's it called? The Calder croutons?
I don't actually know. I didn't check.
That's not actually called that. Let me check.
Coudon.
Calder coudon. Yeah, Calder breadcrumbs. Yeah, Tratnik just rode away, and it became very, very obvious here. Some teams realized it. By the end of the stage, other teams realized it, but only one. It was like the Visma Dwars of London.
Yeah.
Like, only one rider is allowed to win this stage for Trek. It has to be Mads Pedersen. It is not allowed to be anybody else. So we get to the top of the Col du Coudon. Tratnik doesn't care that Vasek's there. He's like, whatever, I'll just pull. The gap goes like 30 seconds. Pedersen starts panicking on top that his teammates like being gifted a stage win, and he tries to attack across the gap. And then I think on that plateau, Tratnik keeps going. Kirsch wanders across, and the other teams start riding like they have to bring it back. I'm like, Tratnik's going to stop.
Yeah.
He's not just going to continue. Kirsch will get dropped. Pedersen will be like attack across himself. No one had to pull.
Well, you had to pull a little bit to keep the gap relatively manageable, but I agree that they shouldn't be.
I legit think Pedersen would have put Simmons to pull.
But to just resketch the situation, Vatsek's ahead and not pulling with Tratnik, because Pedersen is attacking behind those two riders up the move. The gap diminishes by so much that they're close again so that Kirsch can go across. I swear, if Pedersen does not make that move, Vatsek has 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes at the foot of the final climb, drops both Kirsch and Tratnik, and wins the stage by himself.
Tratnik could have won this stage easily. Vatsek could have won this stage easily. Now, what Tratnik was doing still made sense for Dens, because then the other teams are reacting and they are like burning their riders. So Oliveira is pacing all out for Movistar, and I was thinking, do it on the climb.
Mm-hmm.
Vatsek has to sit on. He's not allowed to ride. Tratnik will stop. Kirsch will get dropped. Do it on the climb. They do it on the descent in the valley before. They EF Deadpool with Steinhauser.
That's the thing. Before the last climb, the craziest thing in the stage, in my opinion, happens, which is Steinhauser, who came podium at Paris-Nice, hasn't been consistent all year, so that's notable to mention. But he starts hard pushing, hard pacing, all out, def pulling, going off the front. Then the next rider comes. Valgren starts pacing on the climb. They're doing so for Sean Quinn to potentially have the yellow jersey at the end of the stage, but Sean Quinn is not the closest rider in GC. He's second in that virtual classification behind Torsten Tran by 0.5 minute, and Tran is the better climber. So if your whole plan depends on a better climber dropping to get that yellow jersey, I'm sorry, your plan sucks. You should be... Valgren won a stage at the Giro. Steinhauser is good.
And yeah, it's two things. And so you got going for the yellow jersey. Well, then you should also not pull on the flat with Steinhauser.
Exactly.
Then Steinhauser needs to pull with Valgren to set up the Quinn attack, and you should ignore the existence of Vatsek up the road. Or secondly, you accept that how is Sean Quinn going to put Tran on 30 seconds here? I just could.
If Tran has a bad day, but if that is the case, then going for the stage win by rolling attacks would result in him dropping anyway.
I mean, the way to win this stage is to attack with Valgren and get a group with like a Frigo and a Castrillo, and then put Trek under pressure, or have Valgren to attack in the final. That's literally how he won a Giro stage this year.
Really poor strategy, in my opinion.
I was surprised.
That's an understatement.
Because I was surprised. I think Movistar did it fine.
Yeah.
You know, they kept attacking. They accepted reality. I was surprised by Trek. It was really obvious that only Pedersen could win. Like, to the point where
was allowed to win.
Yeah, was allowed to win.
Why? Because of the green jersey, or because it's Pedersen?
Both. Yeah.
Explain.
Well, no, like Simmons. I think Simmons gave an interview recently. I saw it on Instagram about how he was thinking about doing the Cobble Classics, but then he didn't want to do a full preparation because at the Cobble Classics, Pedersen wants to have 7 guys fully dedicated to him around him. And we've been discussing for quite a while, but that yeah, for Pedersen to win the monuments, maybe he needs someone like Sturven as like in a co-leader status to play that card behind rather than someone sort of positioning him. So, but I think that's just the structure of the hierarchy. That's just how it is. And it pays off. It's paid off in a big way in the Vuelta when he won multiple times. It's paid off when he's, how many stages of the Tour has he won?
Pedersen.
Yeah, he's won
quite a few.
Yeah, he's won multiple Tour de France stages, so it's not like it hasn't paid off. He's a 61 race winner. He's won more races than like the majority of active pros.
On a day like today, where Vácek was in a winning position halfway the stage, it does hurt a little bit because at the end of the day, even if Pedersen wins a stage, at this point he owes Vácek a stage win at the Tour de France, the biggest race in the world.
That's the thing. Like Vácek gave him 3 Giro stages in the first 5 days
and could have won something himself in that Giro as well. He's given him multiple Grand Tour stages, and I'm telling you, Vácek could have won today comfortably by himself.
No, it's not. You're not making that up. So the climb happens. Vácek paces Pedersen. They use Simmons to manage the attacks. Eventually, an attack does go. The last 1,800 meters was steeper. Frigo bridges across to Castrillo. Frigo, I think he waited too long on the climb. I think Frigo needed to go earlier. He looked the strongest at the end of the climb. And a nice group forms with Train, who's going to ride for his GC position, 2 Movistar, who both don't want to sprint, Castrillo and Garcia Pierna, Frigo, and Ramses de Bruyne, who's very, very strong. He was second in the Dauphiné Stage 1 this year, and he's quick in a small group. Perfect group of 5. They just didn't get the margin. Vácek closed in on the descent. And here is where your point comes in. So people keep riding with Trek for a bit. Didn't realize that. Why are you doing that? Because Trek was trying to keep Michael Matthews behind, who was on like 30 seconds at one point. And
can I be honest? I don't think the stage outcome changes at all with Matthews there. I think Matthews as a flat sprinter doesn't compete.
Yeah, not with the sprint that Pedersen did in the end. And it was a lot of downhill, so it was really easy to stay in the wheels. But what was sort of Benji was referring to, which wasn't just like we thought Vácek could win. No. Vácek rode away on his own, and Pedersen closed him in the final of this race. But anyway, Vácek does it easily. He then starts to control with 1,500 meters to go. Late attack comes from Vauquelin on the inside of the corner. Takes it with a bit too much speed, goes to the outside. Pedersen then launches with Vácek and Simmons blocking, and he wins. And he shows why they went all out for him, because this was a formality in the end. He wins by 20 bike lengths, going away from everybody except his teammate. Simmons second, Garcia Pierna third, Frigo fourth, De Bruyne fifth, Vauquelin sixth, Quinn seventh, Trine eighth, and UAE stopped. They have the gap pegged at like 4 minutes for quite a while, 4.5 minutes. Eventually they let it out, and they give Torsten Trine 13 minutes today. And so he takes the yellow jersey by 28 seconds ahead of Sean Quinn. 3 minutes 50 ahead of Vácek. Vácek goes into the white jersey by 4 minutes 16 over De Bruyne and 4:27 over Del Toro. Pogacar's now 7 minutes 53 behind Torsten Trine. So, yeah, big gap for UNO-X. Big win for Pedersen. Green jersey, he goes into the lead 103 versus Binny 39, Philipsen 30. So, we look at last year's green jersey winner, it took 372 points.
Okay.
He's going to have to do this twice more.
Stage 17 is possible.
And 9.
That said, can we look at previous points classifications when we now have 70 points for a flat stage?
There's pointsflation.
Pointsflation is the best term ever, by the way.
Yeah, so maybe he needs 400 points to be sure of it if Philipsen has a good run or Binny a good run in the big bunch sprints. And he's going to be good in Paris. Is that a 70 pointer or 50 pointer?
From my memory, it's not a 70 pointer.
So
I could be wrong on that.
Hopefully we have a good green jersey battle. I think we got one, and he needed to do what he did today, taking like 60 points.
I very much want to talk about Torsten Traan, though, because Norwegian rider on UNO-X has a typical Norwegian rider story of starting there, then went to Bahrain for a bit and so forth. But remember in 2022, he had a doping control test which flagged some abnormal or a result, which turned out to be revealing that he had cancer, testicular cancer. So
exactly.
because of a doping test, he found out that. Then they resolved that issue, which was quite a journey for the man. But afterwards, he went to Bahrain victorious, and ever since that moment, he's taken the red jersey at La Vuelta. In doing so, wearing that for, what was it, 7 or so days from memory, and ending in the top 10 of GC of that Vuelta as a result of that. He's been a fantastic cyclist for the last couple of years, and now doing the same exact thing with 8 minutes as a gap at the Tour de France. Torsten Traan being 8 minutes in yellow after 4 stages is, let's be honest, no top GC rider is scared of that. But is that enough to maybe finish 10 for 9th at the end of the Tour de France?
It is. It is enough.
In this field?
Yeah, it is enough because, but 2 or 3 of the guys that we think are locks to top 10 will get sick or crash.
Okay.
So then you take out...
Beyond.
Yeah, exactly. He said he had fever yesterday. Then you take out 3. And then he's got to, lose, say, defend a lead of 12 minutes against Harold Tejada, or 11 minutes against Higuita, or 10 minutes against Jagar. Like, 10 minutes against Jagar, I think he can do that. And that's why, if you want to do this trick, you have to do it early. You have to do it before the first mountain stage, before any hierarchy amongst the climbers is established, because then there is the Good Samaritan reverse complex of that, where everyone says, this is not my responsibility to defend my theoretical 8th position on GC yet. But if you try this when there's a hierarchy established in the middle of week 2, someone will not like you going in the breakaway, taking that time, because they are already in 8th and they want to defend their 8th. So, like, Del Toro doesn't care about going from 4th to 8th today.
The one downside of being in a position that far ahead is that you don't get to do what all the other top 10 candidates will be able to do for the next, 14 days of the race, which is, if you're outside of the top 10, go in the breakaway, take 3-4 minutes through the breakaway, in so doing, jumping into the top 10. So the timing is going to be close, because in week 3, hopefully either he's still safely in the top 10, or just outside, where he can then jump into a breakaway in the photo weekend, reestablish himself in that top 10. But I don't think he'll complain about his yellow jersey, the first yellow jersey for UNOX in their history. That's the 3rd Norwegian rider to wear the yellow jersey. I thought Bosenhagen would be one of them. That is not true despite his palmarès. Thor Hushovd and Alexander Kristoff in the Soapy stage in 2020. I think this is a pretty major feat for UNOX.
I think so too. I mean, they've got Johannesson as their main GC guy. He finished top 7 last year. Now, if they can finish with 2 in the top 10, they'll be pretty happy, I'd say. They want to win a stage as well with Kort or someone like that. You know what they should do on the Tourmalet stage?
Who?
UNOX.
Johannesson in the break?
Yeah. That's what they should do.
Always, every mountain stage.
I think they should do that and see what the other teams do. They might just let him in there. I think they might do it.
I don't think the break's going to win on the Tourmalet stage. I think Yoi will lock that down and try to impress everybody and try to finish the Tour de France on stage 6 is not really something I'd like to say, but I think they want to put a mark on the race.
I think so, whether it's a circle, a cross, fluorescent marker on a printed sheet.
Or a sociopathic cross.
Yeah, or a cross. They'll probably want to do that. Anyway, that was a nice little break stage. We had, I still didn't know who would win. Yes, the favourite won with the strongest team in the break, but firstly, it's not easy to get in the break with the perfect composition.
Yep.
And they got in the break with Pedersen, Simmons, Vasek. Secondly, they controlled it really well, and I still thought, okay, maybe someone can attack and win, but it didn't happen. Trek, very impressive, and Pedersen, he did what he needed to do to make a big step towards the green jersey. Tomorrow is stage 5 from Lannemezan Maison to Pau. 160 kilometers. We have our first bunch sprint. It is a downhill start, so hard to get in the break. Few hills at 20 Ks in a light hilly zone in the middle, but no categorized climbs. Then we have 3 categorized climbs back to back. 1.1 K, 7%. Plateau, short descent, 600 meters, 9% descent. Then the Côte de Balais, 1.3 Ks, 7.5%. I would try to drop Merlier if I was Trek.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sprint. There's no break option here, I don't think.
Philipsen will survive this, but Merlier might not.
Yeah, so or just no. If you're Pedersen and Trek, you want to thin it out so Pedersen can just get a better placing.
Yeah, because positioning has been a problem for him in the big bunch sprints in the last year and a half. So the smaller the peloton, the less pure sprinters that are there, the higher the placing of Pedersen, the more of a chance that he can take big points, because this is a 70-pointer.
Exactly. So and where's the IS? The IS is before the hills. So yeah, there's 95 maximum points available tomorrow. It's a lot of points, pointflation. I am going with Biniam Girmay.
I'm going with Jasper Philipsen for the stage win. And that's my take.
I think Stewart crashed today, which is unfortunate given it's their big sprint stage tomorrow. But I really like the NSN train. They've got Stewart. Who else? Stewart, Askey, Van Afsbroek, Louvel, Fabini. It's really good.
I swear something happened to Askey in this race so far. I don't know what.
He might have crashed. Him and Stewart, I think, crashed, or one of them, the two definitely crashed today.
But okay, Jasper Philipsen's my pick. Biniam is your pick. I gotta say, Biniam's been on point so far in this race. He was also in the breakaway together with Philipsen. We might have glossed over him a bit too much in that breakaway, so he's still a green jersey contender. Let's not forget about him at all. And I hope we've got a solid sprint stage tomorrow with a bit of action on the hills. As simple as that.
Yep. I think Binny, and I think all those teams should try to drop Merlier. I think you got to try to drop Merlier.
Especially Trek.
I'm not sure you'll succeed. You got to try to drop Coy. These guys, if you're Trek, you have to just make it as thin as possible. Drop Decline. You say, oh, why would you try to drop Decline? But Decline can beat Pedersen in the sprint tomorrow if he's there. Yep. Like, no problem. So you got to drop these guys.
Last topic I want to talk about. Mathieu van der Poel is in this Tour de France. We've not really seen him so far, even though today's breakaway stage was actually a candidate stage for him to go in the breakaway and fight for the stage win. He's going to be relevant for the lead out for Philipsen, if not vital for a potential victory there. Is this really a Tour de France that fits Mathieu van der Poel? I'm starting to feel like it really doesn't.
I mean, there's the final stage, but you'd almost say Philipsen can win that stage if they could play the two options. Yeah, looking at where's the next stage you can win. I mean, 7, 8, they're pure bunch sprints unless there's crosswinds, but then Philipsen's good in the crosswinds. You're looking at breakaway stage 9 is where he should be in. Philipsen will probably go in that as well because there's the early IS he needs to take the points in. So I'd say Van der Poel and Albertson will go break stage 9. That'll be a big battle between them and Trek.
And then it's 17, I think.
10's too hard.
I think it's 17. That's 2.5 stages.
You don't think you can climb well enough on stage 13?
Whoa, Ballon d'Alsace, 9K, 7%. I'm sorry, no.
From the break?
There will be... It depends on what break we have, because it's a flat run-in at the start of that stage, and then one bigger climb, a medium mountain in the last 30 kilometers. If there's any competent, decent breakaway climber in there, then I don't see it for Van der Poel.
We've had the 2 opening puncher stages. The first one in Barcelona was way too hard.
Yep.
The third one was like it was at high altitude. And yeah, if you take that stage yesterday, you dump that in Tirreno Adriatico in cool conditions in 1,000 meters less altitude without POG, it is a Van der Poel stage. It is a completely different stage with those climbs. But the way it was raced, the heat, Tour de France, altitude, UAE, it turns it into something completely different. Yep. So he needs what does he need? Punchy stage. I mean, even last year they were on the limit.
I need a more Martyr van der Poel victory for my heart.
I think that's the big one he can go for.
For my soul, Patrick.
But then if Philipsen needs the points for green, I'm hoping the green jersey goes down to the wire in Montmartre.
Exactly. Fight between Philipsen, Pedersen, Biniam maybe?
I think we need more gravel stages. Wasn't the Champagne gravel stage, that was one of the better stages of the last 2 years.
For sure, we had the drama afterwards with Remco Evenepoel talking about Jonas's balls.
Yeah, remember the first sector, it kicked off, there were mechanicals, Tratnik had to give Vingegaard the bike.
Was that the uphill where on the left it was laying so bad that
Yes.
people just slipped?
So on the left side of the first sector, it was like deep gravel. The right side was fast, and then guys were on the left side. Poggy was attacking. That was a fantastic stage.
Controversial take. Every single Grand Tour needs a cobble and gravel stage.
I agree. It should be mixed surfaces. No TT bikes, cobble gravel stages, self-supported.
Bring back gaps.
If you bring back gaps, if you want the riders to go slower, then they have to carry all their own food.
It's 1950s all over again. Steel bike, don't forget.
Exactly. They'll go slower.
We're allowing them to keep the helmets. We don't go back that far. I'm not allowing that.
Yeah, no aero helmets. So they all have to wear the vented helmets.
And if they have a mechanical, they have to fix it themselves.
But why? What's the justification for an aero helmet existing for the sport? Why? Does it make the product better? Does it make the riders safer?
It makes the rider faster. That's it.
It just makes the rider go faster.
Yes. Well, I have not personally tested the safety precautions between an aero helmet and a normal helmet, but I assume that they're not majorly different in safety.
But so I think
a beacon gets stuck in them.
Yeah, that is true.
A user would say.
I was surprised to see a lot of riders wearing aero helmets today, I must say. Anyway, thanks for listening as always. We'll see you on Tour to Join. Make sure you sign up. And do we have our picks for tomorrow? I picked Binny, you picked Philipsen, and we think it's going to be a sprint. And I actually think Merlier will survive. I don't think he'll have too much trouble, but we'll see if someone tests him out. Until then, ciao, ciao.